Hien, Sherkin sobra para o rebate, golo!
Successful combination.
A central do Milan, agora na Juve, é muitas vezes lateral direito, pode ser o segundo e é
Mbappe!
Na finalização. Com registro de golos assombroso. Atenção à seleção da Colômbia para o golo!
France enters the round of 32 looking like an absolute avalanche. The hype is deafening, and their on-pitch production matches it perfectly. This chart shows exactly how dominant they've been. They cruised through the group stage with a flawless record, racking up 10 goals, obliterating the average for advancing teams. The engine driving this offensive output is the terrifying combination of Kylian Mbappe and Ousmane Dembele. Together, they've already accounted for 8 goals in just 3 matches. Because they constantly swap positions, opposing defenses spend 90 minutes entirely disorganized. This brings up the real question for anyone mapping out this knockout bracket. Is this match a guaranteed French walkover, or is there a specific vulnerability hiding underneath all those goals? We already know that France will completely dominate possession. The actual tension here is whether their hyper-aggressive style has manufactured a fatal blind spot that a smart opponent can exploit. To understand how France operates, you have to look at the math of Didier Deschamps' system. He routinely commits 6 to 7 players straight into the attacking third. This tactical map shows their method. Fullbacks push extremely high, joining forwards to create a massive penalty box overload. This suffocating pressure put 10 goals past Senegal, Iraq, and Norway. But to create it, they leave vast empty space directly behind those advancing fullbacks. This structural choice leaves their center backs, William Saliba and Dio Upamecano, completely isolated near midfield. If the opponent wins the ball back quickly, France has absolutely no secondary layer of defense. They are caught entirely out of position during transition. Because the system demands flawless one-on-one defending in open space, their offensive machine is perpetually living on the edge of a counter-attacking knife. On the other side of the pitch, Sweden's group stage was inconsistent. The heavy broadcaster narrative right now is that they are entirely outmatched. That narrative is fueled by a very real problem. They lost their starting center-back, Isak Hien, to injury. Because of that absence, Sweden is forced to field a reshuffled, largely inexperienced backline in the ultimate high-pressure environment. Lining up an untested defense against the pure speed of Mbappe and Dembele is a mathematical nightmare. If Sweden attempts to play a possession-based game or hold a high defensive line against this French attack, it would be tactical suicide. Betting on a Swedish defensive masterclass or a clean sheet here is statistical fiction. Their only realistic path to survival is outscoring the inevitable French damage. Alexander Isak and Viktor Gyokeres offer the specific physical profiles needed to exploit France's vulnerability in transition. Isak brings elite pace and a rare ability to carry the ball under heavy pressure over long distances. Gyokeres complements that with unmatched physical hold-up play and ruthless finishing when attacking on the break. Knowing this, Sweden's tactical adjustment is simple. They will likely play with 10 men behind the ball whenever they lose possession. The trade-off here is extreme. They are willingly sacrificing all control of the midfield to ensure their penalty area is packed as tightly as possible. By pairing these two specific forwards, Sweden can absorb heavy pressure and still launch a knockout punch without needing to string together long passing sequences. Sweden has abandoned traditional team balance, operating instead as a dedicated delivery system for 2 snipers built to hunt isolated center backs. Adding to this tactical tension is a startling statistical anomaly in their head-to-head record. Across 23 historic meetings, France holds 12 wins to Sweden's 6, but despite that long shared history, these two nations have never met in a FIFA World Cup tournament. This lack of modern tournament history removes any institutional memory from the matchup. France cannot rely on past blueprints. They have to figure out how to stop this dual striker threat entirely in real time. This diagram illustrates exactly what will happen when the whistle blows. These 90 minutes will be a pure clash of opposing systemic geometries. Because the French highline pushes up, they leave 40 yards of completely unprotected green grass directly behind their defense. Gyokeres and Isak are perfectly built to run the exact vectors required to isolate defenders inside that 40-yard vacuum. The trap triggers if the reshuffled Swedish defense survives the initial wave of French pressure. When they win the ball, they strike. The match hinges on the violence of the 5 minutes spent in defensive transition, regardless of who controls the other 85. So how do you actually price this out if you're betting or managing a fantasy roster? Looking at this probability matrix, we have to respect the baseline reality. France remains the overwhelming mathematical favorite to advance. However, predicting a French clean sheet offers a terrible return on investment. The tactical reality makes conceding a goal highly likely. The smartest mathematical expectation points directly toward a high-scoring French win. A shootout ending in 3-1 or 4-2 aligns perfectly with both teams' structural tendencies. When you sit down to watch, you know what to look for. If you appreciate tactical structure, watch the French overloads. If you prefer chaos, keep your eyes on the Swedish counterattack. Now it's your turn to apply the analysis. Will the French high line hold under pressure, or will it snap? Drop your exact score prediction in the comments below.